Hey, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad you're here. My name is Sheeta D, and today we're talking about the things you need to know before moving to Mexico City. I moved to Mexico City 3 months ago, but this is my second time moving here. I lived here for 6 months. It was supposed to be more, long story. But I lived here 6 months in 2019, and I'm back again. If this is your first time on my channel, I am a career break coach. I help women reset their lives and live their dreams on career breaks, gap years, and sabbaticals. I also help them move abroad permanently, and I am one of the co-hosts of Expats Summit. All right, let's get right into it and talk about what people need to know. In my last video, I talked about how the cost of living was one of the reasons I'm here. It's a really good cost of living. It's much lower than anywhere I lived in the US. But here's what you need to know. Mexico City has people who are paid very, very low wages, and Mexico City has a number of people who are extremely, extremely wealthy. And so while the cost of living is low, if you're not careful, your wallet can get away from you here. There are plenty of opportunities to spend significantly more money than you even do in the US. And so, if you want to live on street tacos and mid-range restaurants all day, you're going to love the cost of living. If you like the finest restaurants, the cost of living equation is completely different. They will run your pockets here. Like, they are not cheap, and not even cheap compared to, it's not like, oh, it costs the same as the US. Some of them are like significantly more than you would pay in the US. So, for the same thing. So something to be aware of, things are typically really cheap or pretty expensive here. That actually gives me an idea. I'm gonna skip over to my number 15 on the list. Yes, my number 15 on the list is now my number 2 because we're talking about money. Electronics cost a lot here. If you're furnishing a place, TVs, blenders, the sound on my TV is not good, so I want a sound bar. I looked at the price. They cost a lot more than they cost in the US. And at the same time, there is an Amazon Mexico, but Amazon Mexico tends to cost more if you want the same product you were getting in the US. There's as one example, there's a supplement that I use in the US that cost me $45 for a big tub in the US. In Mexico, it cost me $75 to get the big tub. I don't want to pay. I don't want to pay 2/3 more for the same product. So, if you're moving to Mexico, I would get on Amazon Mexico before you move down, and use the information you can get on Amazon Mexico as a guide for the things you should bring and the things you can pick up down here. A lot of people ask me about hair products. A lot of Black women ask me about hair products. You're gonna wanna bring your hair products. You can always find other things in the same category, but if you are wedded to certain specific brands and types of products, getting them down here, even through something like Amazon, might cost a lot more than you expect. My new number 3 is safety. People ask all the time. I wish they would stop asking. People are like, well, what about the cartels? I don't have cartel business. And so the cartels don't have business with me. Like, I'm not going where they go. I don't know where they go, but it's not where I go. Like, all I'm doing right now is buying furniture and chilling at the crib. The cartels aren't here. I'm not selling drugs. I am not selling drugs. And so the cartels don't have business with me. I'm not doing whatever other illicit businesses they have. I'm not competing with them. I am not part of their supply chain. I guarantee I could live here for years and never have any cartel interactions. It's like living in New York. Is the mafia in New York? Are you in New York? Do you come in contact with them? It's the same kind of thing. Like, it's a huge city. There are underground elements. There is crime. But if you're not part of that circle, you're probably not going to witness it or have it impact you in any meaningful way. Is there crime in the city? Yes, like I said, it's a huge city. There will be crime. Is it like you can't walk down the street because it's like GTA outside? No, like people are leaving you alone. I feel safer in Mexico City than I do in most US cities. Number 4, do you need to know Spanish? You need to know a little bit of Spanish. I always say that you shouldn't let not knowing Spanish be a reason you don't move down here. But if you're planning to move down here, you should learn some. They don't speak as much English in Mexico City as they do in a lot of the other tourist towns, especially the beachy towns. There's significantly less English spoken in Mexico City. So if you've been to Cancun and you were like, yeah, I can handle it, Mexico City is a different story. Almost every interaction I have is me poorly conjugating Spanish verbs and pointing and miming things. Fortunately, every once in a while, someone looks at me like and says, do you speak English? And then yes, the conversation switches, but that happens, I would say 1 out of 10 conversations. The other 10 conversations, our only option to speak is in Spanish, which puts the pressure on me to figure it out. I don't speak a lot of Spanish and I still get by. I'm going to take Spanish lessons. This is on my plan. It is on my schedule. I don't speak a lot of Spanish and I get by. I should speak more to be down here. You don't need to speak any to move down here, but you should learn some and plan to learn some quickly because you're not going to find a lot of English. Number 5 on my list. When you're thinking about finding a place to live, be very, very thoughtful about where you're going to be spending most of your time. So if you're coming down here to work, you want to work and live in the same neighborhood as much as possible because traffic. Traffic in Mexico City is no joke. You can go 30 minutes in a car and go like 8 blocks. Truly, it's what if you, I leave my home early morning, late evening, and like certain times in the middle of the day. Like I'll go out at like 10 o'clock. I might go out at 2. Noon? I don't know her. I'm inside. Cause it's just, the streets are crazy. And the drivers, we'll get to that later. We'll get to the drivers later. But yeah, so you want to be really careful that you're thinking about where you're going to work, where you're going to spend most of your time, where do you need to be, and you want to be close to there when you're picking a place to live. Otherwise, you can spend 2 hours all day, 2 hours one way commuting every day. And that's not, who wants to live like that? So it's a huge city. There are lots of places you can live. Be very thoughtful about that. All right, it's time to talk about the drivers. Cairo. The drivers in Cairo might be a little crazier than Mexico City. Other than that, all the countries I've been to in the world, Mexico City takes the cake. Between the rules, between the crazy roundabouts that aren't really roundabouts, between the way people drive, I've seen Uber drivers do absolutely insane things. I've seen it from the back seats of the Ubers that I'm in, where I'm like, we're going the wrong way down a one-way street now because you don't want to sit in traffic. So what's happening? The traffic, I told you there's a lot of vehicles and there are very few accidents. These drivers, there's road rage somehow and impatience, but they don't hit each other. I think they value their vehicles a lot more than we do in the US. I think that might be what it is. I'm not really sure. But there's very few accidents. but the way they drive, a lot of times you're just praying in the backseat. Like if someone else is driving you, there's just a lot of like, I hope I make it to the end because I don't understand what's going on. Like, I do not understand why he's driving like this. I didn't tell you I was in a rush, but you don't want to sit here in traffic. And so we're driving like maniacs. So I don't recommend that you drive here if you don't need to. Public transportation is here. Ubers are super cheap. I think the most I've ever paid for an Uber was $8, and that's to go across town. Even leaving the airport, you're not gonna pay a lot. So don't do that to yourself. If you don't have to drive, don't drive. When you're looking for a place to live, you can get a lot of information from online groups, from websites, but do not rent a place without seeing it first. That sounds pretty basic, but a lot of people do it. Don't do it. When I was looking for a place, I would see a specific neighborhood in a description, and I would go there and I'd be like, it's close to that neighborhood, but it's not in that neighborhood. And one thing to know about Mexico City is that neighborhoods change very quickly. Like from Roma, which is lovely, to Doctores is just a little boop, and it's a completely different feel. And so you really want to be careful that you are getting the amenities you expect. It looks the way you expect. It is in the neighborhood you expect. Before you rent anything, you want to make sure that if you haven't looked at something, someone you know has looked at it before you get there. One of the places I looked at the listing, loved it. It was the only furnished place that I really liked. The furniture was like, yes, I can live here. A lot of furnished places down here had furniture that had me like, I don't want to sleep there. I don't want to sit on that chair. Not that they look dirty, but they just look like they were decorated by like 80-year-olds. I didn't want it. So this one place, found it, loved it. Pulled up and, let me back up a second and explain something to you. In Mexico City, a lot of neighborhoods have, there are a lot of store zones. So you'll find like an electronic store zone and a lighting store zone where there are like 6 lighting stores all on the same block, and then the next block has more lighting stores and the other one. And so there are lots of different like neighborhoods, like little mini zones within neighborhoods. Pulled up, it was a rim shop zone. And so there were like rims, rim shop, rims, buy your rims, change your rims. And so right next to the building, there were rims. And I was there after hours or later in the day. So I don't know how much noise the rim shops made when they were all at work. And they're literally on the street, right next to it, across the street, like all the rim shops. It's like 2 blocks of rim shops. Also, unlike most neighborhoods in Mexico City, there were a lot of men just standing around. Like 5 men outside of the one across the street, just standing around talking, not doing anything, which is rare. Usually when there are people at a business, they are doing something, at least pretending to be productive. These dudes were just chilling. At the one next to the building, there were another 3 men just hanging out. And so the street was just littered with just men just kicking it and rim shops. And I was like, I have never been in a neighborhood where there's just like 20 men in the street hanging out. I don't think I want to live here. Like, I am a woman who lives alone. I care about my safety. Are these men going to hurt me? I have no reason to believe they are. But also, why y'all here just hanging out? Like, what is this? What do you? It's too many of y'all. It's too many. It's too many. The building had no security. The apartment was really, really pretty. And it was a lot cheaper than the one I'm renting right now. It was really pretty. I have no idea how much noise installing and taking off rims and doing whatever work they were going to do would cost. All right, if you're wondering where to live, what the popular neighborhoods are, the popular neighborhoods with expats are Roma, where I used to live. I used to live in Roma Norte. Loved it. Condesa, a little bit more expensive, beautiful walks, tree-lined streets, gorgeous. Polanco, where I live now, it's a little fancy. It's not my number one. It wouldn't be my number one choice. Roma would be my number one choice, but I couldn't get an apartment that felt like me in Roma. I found it in Polanco. Santa Fe is really popular as well if you're coming here to work, because a lot of foreign companies are based in Santa Fe. Remember, I said don't live far from where you work, so a lot of expats live in Santa Fe. And of course, you don't have to live where the expats live. You can live in very, very local places. Like I said, I was looking for a very specific apartment. I found it in an expat neighborhood. Okay, I have no idea what number we're on. I'm gonna have to count these later. But the next thing I want to talk to you guys about is tap water. The tap water here is not drinkable. I don't know what happens, I've never drunk it. I brush my teeth with it, I shower in it, it gets all in, wash the hair, do all the things with it. Nothing happens. I've been brushing my teeth with it for months, nothing happens. I use it when I cook. I use it when I wash food, wash vegetables and things, but I don't drink it in large. I won't get a cup of it. I use a grocery delivery service, and when I get my groceries delivered, I get them to bring like 6-liter bottles of water, and they bring those, and that's how I get my water. This is what I get from the grocery store, or if I'm going myself, I try to bring one of those back or something smaller. You can get those really big ones that we used to get like in the 80s from like, what was it, Crystal Geyser? I think that's the company we used in California, where like you gotta hold it over your shoulder and it's got the small neck and you can turn it. That's too much. Bring me a couple of these small ones. I don't wanna be lifting and turning and doing and having. The things to know about Mexico City is that there are an unlimited number of things to do. You will always find something to do. I think I said that in my last video about why I moved to Mexico City, and it really is one of the reasons. I always say that Mexico City is like New York, but with nice, warm people who are welcoming you and are happy you're here. Sorry, New Yorkers, but it's true. Huge city, there's always something to do. During the pandemic, there is distinctly less to do. But this won't last long. It's just a phase we're going through. If you're moving to Mexico City or any other city in the world, before you get down here, join a Facebook group for people who live in that city. I am in a number of Facebook groups for people like me. And sometimes it's people who are not like me. Like I'm in a group for moms in Mexico City. I am not a mom, but they got info. You wanna know which doctor to go to? You want to know where to get the good cupcakes? They got it. And so someone recommended that I get in there. I'm in there. I'm mostly just like listening and learning and, figuring things out. But wherever you go, Facebook groups are the best way to get information about that place. And so definitely join a Mexico City Facebook group. If you join a general Mexico Facebook group, it's great, but you're not going to get the specific information that you can get in a Mexico City Facebook group. They're very invaluable. Number, whatever this is, dogs. If you do not love dogs, this might not be the city for you. If you are scared of dogs, think twice. But keep listening. Mexico City is a city with a lot of dogs. They are some of the best behaved dogs you will see anywhere in the world. They are never far from their human, but a lot of times they're off leash. They're not far from their human, but they are not on a leash. They are just chilling, taking a walk off leash, chilling outside of their shop off leash, doing whatever, just hanging out. A lot of times they are on leash. You'll see dog walkers with like 7 dogs walking down the street. If you are scared of dogs, there are a lot of dogs here and they aren't all on leash. It's something to keep in mind. The dogs here barely even pay attention to you. Like to humans, there's very little barking. I don't know what it is, but in the city, the dogs don't bark a lot. They are, I don't know if they're satisfied, if they're not scared, what it is, they are not barkers for the most part. But if you don't like seeing dogs like that, this is not a place for you. They're cats. They're a little bit more rare. I do remember one time I was working in a coffee shop in Roma, and I was there maybe like 3 hours, 2-3 hours, and at least 2 cats walked in and like laid down, and a dog did too. I was taking photos like, is this, what's happened? Like, and no one tripped. No one tripped. I frequently will walk past the sidewalk of a restaurant and there's just a dog chilling outside, and not like the owner is eating outside and the dog is at their feet. Now, the owner is eating inside and the dog is off leash, not tied to anything, just chilling outside like, daddy gonna come soon. It's all right. I'm just chilling. Like, y'all don't worry about your dog just walking off? Nope. So, not a big thing for me because I like dogs. And I actually think off-leash dogs are really cute because I used to walk mine off-leash too. But if that's not your thing, keep it in mind. Another thing to know here is Wi-Fi. The city has good Wi-Fi. I don't have any problems. I pay $25 a month for internet in my apartment, including the Wi-Fi, and that includes Netflix. There is a public Wi-Fi in the city. I have used it when my US provider was really slow, the city internet was faster. If you have any choice about the city internet, don't use the city internet because it might be faster, but it is slow. But there's a Mexico City internet you can get on if you ever need it. It's not available everywhere, but it is in most places. All right, let's talk about bathroom business. What? Yes, bathroom business. In some places in Mexico, you still have to throw your toilet paper in the trash can after you use it because it should not go down the pipes. I don't live in them places. I don't. I won't. I don't live in them places. You can find, it's easy to find places in Mexico City where you can flush, where they have new construction, new pipes, you can flush, it's okay. I don't. I lived for 2 years in Jamaica without having any indoor plumbing at all, not water, not toilet, not shower, not nothing inside. Everything was like a hike through the backyard. Because of course, if you have an outdoor toilet, which is really just a hole in the ground with a seat over it, that's not close to the house. So it's a little bit of a hike. So if you have to go to the bathroom at night, you have to get up and like get to the toilet. So I'm very particular about bathroom business now. I don't live in places that don't have the bathroom that I like. Yes. So yeah, I live in a place where I can flush the toilet, no worries. And that was important to me. So that is something maybe to ask about if you're considering renting a place. Like, does the landlord expect you to put it in the trash? Which they might expect you to do even if they have new plumbing, because it's kind of, that's traditional here. But it's worth having that conversation. The other thing to know is that construction in the US and construction in Mexico are different. And so you'll see little differences. Like I live in a brand new luxury apartment and it's not insulated or soundproof in any meaningful way. When it's hot outside, I am hot. When it is cold outside, I am cold. I hear everything going on. And I'm like, I wish I had known this before I moved in. But when I moved in, this whole part of the hallway was empty. And now I have neighbors. They be making all the noise. But the most important thing to know, because we're in the bathroom business section of this video, is that in a lot of homes in Mexico City, not all of them, but in a lot of them, you will smell what smells like sewer coming from the pipes. You might not know where it's coming from at first, but it's the pipes. It is the pipes. And that's because someone taught me this on IG. In the US, most of our lines that come into our home have that like U curve in the pipe where you like the sewer smells get stuck and they can't get up back into the house. Like once they leave, the smells can't get in. But in Mexico, a lot of my pipes have like a straight down and a straight out. So like they come down from the sink and then they go out. And so it's easy for them to get back up. It is very common in Mexico. Most of the Mexican people I talk to were kind of like, yeah, it smells, you just put a little cap. They sell these little plastic flat white caps that you just put over that drain cover and the smell goes away. The smell does not always go away. So in this place, this luxury apartment that was just built they opened it up, I think maybe summer of last year, just built. In my bathroom, I put a cap over it. I can't smell it. In the guest bathroom, with the same cap over the same drain, over the drain of the shower, you can smell it. You can smell it. I have that door closed all the time because I'm never in there because it's a guest bathroom. I live alone. But when people are here and they want to use the bathroom, it's going to smell a little bit like sewer. It's a thing in Mexico. And that's why another reason I say don't rent a place. Don't rent a place without seeing it. You're going to smell it in some Airbnbs. I was in one where it was like, when you're in the place, you don't smell it, but when you go outside and come back in, it was just unbearable. When I was looking at apartments, I looked at a place that like in all of the bedrooms and the bathrooms in the main place, no smell at all. But they had a maid squirter off the kitchen. I opened the door and I was like, woo, child. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Like, first of all, it looks like you redid all the pipes in here so there'd be no smell and you didn't redo the maids? Trifling. Absolutely trifling. But yeah, you want to have someone look at places you're going to because sewer smells. And it smells like sewer. So it's hard to miss when you're there. All right, last part of our bathroom business, but also very important. I have a small water heater tank. My water my hot water lasts about 20 minutes when I'm in the shower, maybe 30 or more when I'm doing dishes. So if I do dishes and then I want to hop in the shower, I have to wait like 10 minutes in between, because when that water is out, it just gets to cold. It'll heat back up, but it just goes to cold and then you're chilling there with cold water. It has happened a couple times, until the water heats up again. I've only had one experience of turning on the water and it not being hot. 10 minutes later, it was hot. I don't know what was going on. It wasn't like I'd run out of hot water because I wasn't doing anything. Actually, no, the water wasn't on at all. The water wasn't on at all. 10 minutes later, it was on. I don't know why. There's construction in the building next to mine, so I think that might have had something to do with it. We're at the same property. I don't know. But the water I experienced in Mexico City, like in my shower, there's no like on and then hot cold. It's just off is on the cold side and on is on the hot side. And the cold is cold and the hot is like boil your skin off hot. There's no, and then you gotta play in between to find the right amount. But my hot water is constant. I know that in some of the other cities, especially the beach towns, you can go without hot water. It's not true for me in Mexico City. I always have hot water. It is always extremely hot. But because I have a small tank, if I'm doing too many hot water things, like if I'm washing laundry, especially if I turn up get the water a little hotter on the machine, I should wait a while before I do something else that requires hot water. And it's not a long time. It's like I said, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and I'll be sure to get hot water. All right, that was my, whatever number that was, list of things to know before you come to Mexico City. Before you move to Mexico City, these are the things you need to know. If you have questions about any of them, put it in the comments. If you're interested in getting residency in Mexico, I hosted a workshop through Exodus Summit about getting residency in Mexico, and you can get information. I'm gonna put a link in the description, but that is exodussummit.com/workshops. You can get that information there. And if you have questions about moving to Mexico, I'm going to put a link to Ask Me Anything. Ask me anything. And you can book a session with me and ask me anything you want to know about the process of moving to Mexico. So those will be below in the description. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, turn on notifications, let YouTube know that you want a little more of this. And I will talk to you later.